Kara Dye is here. She is from Columbia College, our neighbors just down the road here on North Main. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in. And today we thought we would do something special. So many great accomplished people and speakers come into our area for graduations, and they say something to graduates, Kara, that gets away from most of us. Well, we thought we'd change that paradigm. And it's really simple. We asked you for the audio of what was said. Columbia College recently had a spring graduation. Who was your commencement speaker?
We were lucky enough to welcome Vicky Sistrunk. She has South Carolina roots. She was born in Spartanburg, and she was actually a graduate of the University of South Carolina. So she's got some Columbia connects as well.
She sure does, and she has a very heady position.
Vicky has the coolest career you ever want to hear about. She started in McDonald's and then made her way into Time Warner, Disney, Adidas, and then now she's back stateside working for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the Chief Impact Officer. So quite the resume.
The 2024 Spring Commencement Speaker at Columbia College.
Wow. I'd like to meet her. That person that Rex just talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed Board of Trustees of Columbia College, faculty, staff, families, guests, and to the illustrious 2024 graduates of Columbia College. It is an honor to be with you this morning. This is an incredibly special occasion, and I was just reminded that for some of you, this might be your first live graduation. Some of you may have missed your high school graduation due to the global pandemic with Corona. Anyone? Well, that actually makes this a huge responsibility today for me. As you prepare to step into the world beyond the hallowed walls of Columbia College, I do urge you right now to pause and take this moment in. Sure, you will have other major milestones. You will achieve great things. But this moment will never be repeated. To receive this degree is incredibly special. And I want to share just why you, each of you, are so unique. In 2022, 18.1 million students entered a college or university, but only 62% actually finished the race. You all are rare winners, and it's an honor to share this rare air with you today. Frankly, I don't even remember who spoke at my graduation when I sat in your very seat. So I don't want you to remember me, but I hope that something I can share with you today will come in handy in your journey to achieve whatever your ambitions and aspirations are. As you look into your future, I challenge you to envision the path that lies ahead. What will your legacy be? How will you leave your mark on the world? Now, these questions seem daunting, certainly, but they are filled with endless possibilities. I urge you to embrace this opportunity for uncertainty, because this is a precious time where you're going to have more answers, more questions than answers, and it's expected. Where you go from here is truly up to you. Today, the world is your oyster. Now, all of us gather here today to celebrate your achievements and to demonstrate our unwavering support to stand with you as you go forward in life. Will you move away from Columbia, or will you stay here and plant roots and watch those roots blossom? I remember pausing these very same questions to myself when I sat in your seat. And I recognize now that I will continue, and you will continue to ask yourself what's next and what lies around the corner. I hope that I'll share something with you that will ignite your curiosity and your imagination and will inspire you to set the bar incredibly high for whatever it is that you wish to achieve. You've already proven that you have the discipline, the tenacity, and the passion to finish any race. So let's talk about what's next. I'd like to start with the question of how will you build social capital beyond your college experience? Now you might say, what is social capital? It's simply the relationship currency you build with other people. None of us can achieve anything by ourselves. So that relationship currency is critical for you to build the right support network to help you on your life's journey. In a world inundated with information, it's easy to fall into the trap of surrounding ourselves with people who confirm and affirm our beliefs, our perspectives. It's a natural human desire to be affirmed by the people around us. But if we aren't careful, this approach can stifle our growth and limit our understanding. True progress and growth actually occur when we pressure test our beliefs and our convictions, when we seek out divergent points of view and engage in open, honest, genuine conversation with people who may believe differently, who may look differently, and literally may see the world through a different lens. Now, you may wonder why this is important and what's the point. But in the words of the contemporary philosopher Malcolm Gladwell, life is enriched when you intentionally build social capital beyond your immediate circle of influence. In fact, the very nature of our democracy is built on bringing different perspectives together to generate the best ideas that move our community, our country, and our world forward. Now, Malcolm Gladwell introduced the concept of bonding capital and bridging capital as two different approaches to build relationship currency with other people. Now, bonding capital is the relationship you have with the people who know you best. They believe the same things that you believe, possibly from the same ethnic background, religious background, educational background. In fact, many of the people you have bonding capital with are in the audience today. They have been with you through this journey. This is a very important and valuable relationship. But frankly, there's very little new news that's going to come from this circle of influence. They will affirm you, they will support you, and that is important. But when you want to grow and stretch and learn some different things, you need to also focus on bridging capital. Now, bridging capital, on the other hand, is the connection that you build with people who are different than you. They see the challenge differently. They answer the question differently. They have different experiences, different ideas. And when you connect with that person, you actually have to stretch to consider their perspective. On the surface, they're very different. You may find that on the surface, you have little things in common. But that dynamic, that friction will help you continue to grow. Consider what happens when you join an intramural team, let's say basketball or soccer. You join a team with people who are from different backgrounds, different educations, different ethnicities, different identities, different political beliefs. but you're on the same team. And throughout the season, you are likely to have conversations about current events. And you'll find that you may see it one way and another team member sees it another way. But because you're on the same team, you hear differently. You see them differently. And while you may disagree, you don't become disagreeable. That's the key. There is room in our society for different perspectives, and bridging capital, that relationship currency you generate and build with people who are different from you, will help you grow and pursue a life of continuous learning. This is one of the most important lessons I've learned in my career, working for many different multinational companies, and I learned it the hard way, frankly. So I'd like to share with you a very quick story to demonstrate the power of bridging capital. Early in my career, I was a mid-level marketing manager for McDonald's Corporation. I realized at that time that actually Ronald McDonald was known more all over the world than Santa Claus. Go figure. So I had enjoyed a progressive career with McDonald's. Started in Greenville, South Carolina, ended up at the corporate headquarters in Chicago. I ended up getting recruited from McDonald's, a fast food global brand, to become the vice president of marketing for Turner Broadcasting, now Time Warner, for TNT and TBS. This was a huge promotion for me and had been something on my list of accomplishments that I wanted to pursue. So I took what had made me successful at McDonald's to Turner Broadcasting. New industry, from Chicago to Atlanta, new boss, new team, unfamiliar territory. So I said, what made me successful at McDonald's is certainly gonna make me successful in this new role. Well, when you go to a new environment, you might need to flex some different muscles. You have to assess what is the norm, what is the culture, what are the expectations. And you may have heard what brought you thus far may not take you to the next level. Well, at that point, I didn't really get that. I was nervous. I was suffering from fear. Am I worthy? The imposter syndrome. All of you know it, right? But when you're nervous, your natural tendency is to do what is familiar. So I did the things that had made me successful. I started every meeting with a detailed agenda, with specific outcomes, with clear roles and responsibilities. I followed up every meeting with detailed notes on who was to do what, by when. And in 6 months, I had a great reputation of delivering OTIF. We call that on time in full. On time, on budget, on brand. OTIF. I was killing it, I thought. So 6 months into this new role, I was summoned to the president of the network's office. And I do mean summoned. I was so nervous when I got the call, he was about 5 floors up, that instead of taking the elevator, which would have made the most sense, I ran up the stairs. Just ran and got up there, I'm out of breath. And I remember going into his office, and he said to me, you basically turned off, I'll use turn, everybody you work with. He said, in 6 months, you're either gonna be promoted or fired. Promoted or fired? I was the queen of OTIF. All my projects were on time, on budget, on brand. I thought, putting check marks on the board. I was scoring points. But he said, in the process, you have not gotten to know anyone. Everyone says, yeah, she's very professional. Yeah, her meetings are ran well, but we don't know anything about her. I was in shock. I was in shock because in my culture, the way I grew up in South Carolina, I had been taught that you keep your work life over here and your personal life over here, and never the two shall mix. I see some people nodding. That had served me well up until this point. But I'd reached a point in leadership where to be a good leader, you have to be able to motivate followership. And the only way to really be a good leader is to connect with people on a personal, genuine, purpose-led level. He said, nobody knows anything about you. They don't know where you live. They don't know what your hobbies are. They don't know what you care about. And he said, you've heard the adage that people do business with people they like, right? And I said, yeah, sure. And inside I said, and I always hated that. He said, but the truth is, they can't like you if they don't know you. Now, at this stage in my career, I'd earned my MBA, I'd been promoted, I had received awards, but I had no appreciation to the personal connection required to build a team, to build genuine rapport, that bridging capital, right? And he was extending the bridge to me. 6 months, Vicky, you're gonna be fired or promoted. Well, my job was on the line, so I heeded that advice. He told me to walk the halls and casually have lunch with folks without an agenda, which was totally against everything that I had been doing. He actually told me to pretend that my car broke down so someone could pick me up in the morning and ride to work with me and take me home in the evening. Now, the way I was raised, if your car was broke down, you should be the only one that knew it. So this challenged everything that I believed. But those 15, 20-minute rides, those 45-minute lunches with no agenda helped me connect with people. My team and my peers got to know who Vicky as a human was. And that allowed me to get promoted in that next 6 months and not fired. Now, this may seem like a small thing, but it's major. It's major as you go into your career. You will be held accountable to deliver the job, but I promise you, you'll be much more successful if you focus on bridging capital. The gentleman who gave me this advice, we could not have been more different. He was born and raised in upstate New York. We practiced different religions. He was on a level far above me, but he extended a bridge to me with advice that I had never received before. And so now I extend that bridge to you so that you don't face that call that I got 6 months into the new role. I want to share one more thing with you because, as I said, I don't remember who spoke to me at my graduation. And sometimes the best advice is the simplest advice. So there's something that I was told early in my career, and I suspect you've heard it too. And I'm going to ask you to challenge this advice. The advice is simply fake it till you make it. Raise your hand if you've ever heard this advice. Fake it till you make it. Now, this concept may have some merits, right? Sometimes the best thing to do is to not open your mouth and no one will know what you don't know. But I'm going to challenge you, especially in this moment, at this stage in your career. Don't let that advice rob you of the gift and strength of vulnerability. You don't have all the answers. None of us do. So when you pretend you you actually miss the genuine opportunity to learn and grow. I urge you instead to honor your curiosity and ask the questions. Seek deeper meaning and understanding. This is absolutely critical as you enter your career path. No one expects you to have the answers. The expectation is for you to have the right questions and then to have the tenacity to go find the right answer. Be true to yourselves at every stage of your career. Don't shrink because you have questions. Rise and boldly ask them, and keep asking until you get the answers that make sense to you. That's what learning is. That's what growth is. So as you venture out into the world beyond this college experience, I urge you to cultivate curiosity, empathy, and a willingness to engage with people who look different, believe different, have different experiences than yourself. Let's build bridges of understanding and acceptance rather than walls of division. And let us celebrate the richness that comes from embracing diverse viewpoints. Congratulations, class of 2024. May you carry with you the curiosity to explore new ideas and the empathy to understand the experience of others. May you be catalysts for positive change in a world that desperately needs your intellect, your open-mindedness, and your compassion. Thank you very much.
That is Vicky Sistrunk from Spartanburg, South Carolina, now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. She is not a player, by the way, at least not on the field, but she is a player based on what she just shared with us. Your
Absolutely.
graduates heard that. How did they greet that, Kara Dye?
Well, as you can hear, Vicky has, just boundless wisdom to share. When we chose her as our commencement speaker, it was important to us that she had a timely message, not just for our graduates. Of course, that was super important, but for the community members that we had gathered. You heard her talk about the importance of building capital within personal relationship, building a network of people who not only affirm you and your own point of view, but challenge that and push you to disagree without becoming disagreeable, which is a really cool message to hear. Building a network like that, you're able to grow not only professionally, as you can see with Vicky, but personally in the world today.
Tell us about Columbia College, South Carolina. You used to be all female.
Columbia College has been around for a long time. We were founded in 1854. And if you know anything about our history, you know that we have been through many a challenge. Oftentimes, our history has been described as a resilient one. And that's even carried us into where we find ourselves today. But if you've heard anything about us in the recent past, you know that we just inaugurated a new president, Dr. John Dozier. His message a couple of weeks ago during his inauguration was challenging us to not think of Columbia College as a resilient institution, but one of resurgence. Resilience has served us well in our history. We have weathered many a storm, but now we are coming off of that, pushing towards the future and becoming the institution that we're going to be in the future, and one of resurgence.
Columbia College, the Fighting Koalas.
At columbiasc.edu.
And that's Midlands Matters for today, a presentation of Midlands Media Group, all rights reserved. My name's Tony Clyburn. Until next week, so long.